And I can tell you a simple truth about what I teach. It works every single time as long as you use 100% of what I teach. But if you use 50% of what you're going to do and 50% of what I'm going to do, don't blame my half because I know my shit works.
All right, what's going on, everyone? I am here with Joe Crisara. Really excited to dive in. Really honored to have you on, Joe. I know you're a very busy guy. Your time's really valuable. So I'm looking forward to digging in here. Welcome to the show.
Well, thank you, Joseph, for inviting me. And definitely, I just want to say how proud and honored I am to be on the same stage with you, for sure. And you've done so much to the effort you do to help other blue-collar professionals in all the different trades that I see that you touch, and the inspiration you give those people, the effort you do is definitely something that makes me feel good that there's somebody like you out there who's like-minded, who can help lead the way and create a vision for those people to be more successful, because those people are the hardest working people in our country, and it's great that we have people like you who are there to help them. So thank you so much for inviting me here to be part of it.
Yes, awesome. Well, likewise. I mean, thanks for your contribution over the decades, and yeah, just so the audience knows, a quick background on Joe and I. It's not too long of a background, really, but we connected about a few months ago, this summer, I guess. Just kind of what Joe said, like-minded thoughts and content out there. Like, hey, look, I like what you're doing. I like your style, I like your approach. I like your vibe. I like the values that you're putting out there. And we just, we hopped on Zoom, got to know one another, and have kind of gone back and forth the past few months. And most of our audience right now is, I would say, in the roofing industry. That's where we kind of spend most of our time and energy. Joe comes from another segment of contracting, but there's certainly a ton of overlap. So some of our audience might be familiar with Joe and your decades of experience in training and serving the industry. Some may not. So how about we start off with a little bit of an intro, just, background, what you do, who you are, that sort of thing.
Sure. Well, I ran a contracting business of my own. I was a service technician for both plumbing, heating and air conditioning, and electrical and hydronic work. So I was very mechanical when I was first started in 1976. My dad was a plumber from 1956 back in the day, and he did big projects like O'Hare Airport in Chicago and the John Hancock Center and places like that. So I was definitely involved from not afraid of working hard for very little rewards back in the day, and then started my own business, and then eventually I ran into some trouble, and then learned from some of the mistakes I made. I definitely learned from those mistakes, and that's what the things I teach today is that comeback from despair. I say sometimes the mistakes we make are the best teacher, because it forces us to have to come to accountability and really realize that we are responsible for everything that we create or do. And out of it, the comeback, when I came back from all that, my vendors and stuff noticed it. They say, hey, can you help other people? And that's how I got into consulting. So I sold the business in 2001. From 1985 to 2001, I had that business. We sold it, and I realized that my passion was to help people take the ball from where you're at. Like Joseph Hughes helps roofers sell their company before the doorbell rings, and I help people sell the company after the doorbell rings. So in a way, we're very complementary, where both things are needed. And we've gone on to have over 12,000 service providers, many of who are roofers. We do have a lot of roofing people in Canada and the United States who use our services. We've coined the phrase, one of the best questions in the entire planet, called the 4 words are, what should we do? Which is how we proceed with every single job. We create premium, mid-range economy options, make those options personalized and customized, and then utter the phrase, what should we do? And with that, we're able to triple to quadruple or quintuple the results of most service professionals by letting the customer have a choice and not recommending or telling people what to do, but letting them choose for themselves. And when you let the consumer choose for themselves, amazing things start to happen. I would say be a window to opportunity and stop being a door that stands in the way of it. So that's what we do. Here at Service MVP. I should mention the brand name, right? Service MVP is the brand name. If anyone wants to check that out, you can always do that as well too. But I'm always here just on Facebook, and just truthfully, most of my marketing is just helping people to get started, and creates an obligation that once I help people make more money, they're like, well, how can I make even more? And that's why people hire me. So that's usually people already made money before they hired me. That's my goal, is to make sure people made something before they actually decide to give me a shot and give me money to do my service. Make sense?
Absolutely. I'm a big fan of that too. So just to clarify, you mean like with some of the content you have out there and all that stuff, people can actually take that, implement it, make some money, and then say, all right, well, if the free stuff is this good, I wonder what I get when I join his program or go to his event. Is that kind of the strategy there?
Yeah, I have a saying that for everything I give you for free, there's 1,000 things that you still might have to pay for later on. And the things I give you for free will make you more money too. So it's not like that won't make you money. So if you wanted to stop there and say I've already had enough personal growth and business and professional growth, because I think wealth is not just about money, but it's about the whole package, right? Our health, our well-being, our families, the time we have to contribute to the higher purpose, I think, is all part of what makes a real professional what called wealthy in a way. Does that make sense, Joseph?
100%. Yep. I'm taking notes here, Joe. This is like, this is like a coaching session for me, and the audience gets to hear it as well. So, no, I'm a
You're
geek
too
of personal
kind.
development. Yeah, I mean, I agree. I mean, I don't know who said it. I think a lot of people said it. I don't know who to attribute it to, but there's no such thing as business problems. There's only personal problems that manifest themselves in the business. And of course, there's nuances to that. I don't know if that's, 100% true, but I think that's true in a lot of cases, right? Like if we have that mindset, like the limiting beliefs, or we have a scarcity mindset, or whatever might be going on personally, we're not all there, we're not focused, we're not present, then those things are going to show up in the business, in our leadership, those things are going to translate to our team. So I'm a big fan of, taking care of yourself and health and wellness and fitness and putting, eating well and drinking water and all that good stuff physically. And then mentally, like the personal development side of it, I'm a huge proponent of that as well. So I agree.
Yeah, you have to make sure you're feeding your body and your mind the right material, right? That's part of it.
Yeah, yeah, and back onto that, like the free content thing. The way that I look at it, and the way I talk about it is this: like we have a ton of free content out there. We share pretty much everything, knowing that the people that really want to DIY it are going to DIY it themselves either way. We want to provide value so that people are like, all right, well, I want your guys' specific training and coaching on this, right? So like all the free content's out there. You can take advantage of that, use it, hopefully grow your business, improve your life, that sort of thing. But if you want like hands-on personal guidance for your particular situation, your business, your challenges, your problems, if you want to work one-on-one, then that's where, that paywall is. That's where you need to pay for that, like that one-on-one specific coaching.
Well, I always said that the numbers are in our favor, right? If you help somebody in all these companies, the owner is going to say, "Where did you learn how to do that?" Or "Where did you learn how to talk like that? Where did you learn that phrase?" Or "Where did you learn that how to make those prices like that?" And then I say, "All roads lead to Uncle Joe." So I mean, whether it's Joseph Hughes or Joe Crisara, it's all roads, all roads lead to either one of us. You might be nephew Joe, I don't know, but I'm Uncle Joe. But they say all roads lead to Uncle Joe because eventually it's like. Yeah, and truthfully, I don't. That's why I don't look at it like I have competition or things like that. I would say my biggest competitor is myself, and I welcome my competition to help contractors. I think the more people that can help contractors, the better. And I have what's called an open hand philosophy, where it's like if you scoop the sand at a beach and you show all that sand in a big pile, the only thing that can minimize it is when you try to grab it and own all that sand. And next thing you know, you only got about the size of a quarter left over because you tried to own it too much, right? So, truthfully, the things that I think you teach and what I teach are universal truths and values. What I've noticed about you and myself is that we only really put forward the things that we know are going to work. Like it's pretty much the things that don't work, we're going to avoid talking about those things because we don't know about why they don't work, but we do know the things that do work. And by minimizing the content to something that does work, Well, that still provides a ton of content there because there's a lot of things that do work. It's smallest little things like single words or different phrases that the way you talk and communicate on your marketing, your branding, as well as when you're in somebody's home or in their business, you know?
Yeah, that language, the messaging we call it, is so important. I mean, with in the home, in sales, for sure. One word can change everything. And same thing with marketing. Like that's what we work on our clients with the most, I would say. And as the marketing director here at Contractor Dynamics, among my other hats, like that's something we're working on every day, whether it's like crafting an email or putting together a landing page like I was doing yesterday, or writing a Facebook post or doing a video. Like the messaging that's going to cut through all the noise that's out there in our world and connect with like your people, whether it's recruiting people or whether it's getting in front of your ideal prospective clients, that messaging is so key. So that's something that we can never, we never like get there. It's a moving target. Like we're always getting better and better at that, ideally. So you provide, you said 12,000 service providers. I mean, that's a pretty good resume there. A few decades. There's a lot of business coaches out there, a lot of trainers and things like that don't really have much of a track record. And I know there's a lot of on social media, you see people like bashing like, the wannabe or the fake gurus and things like that. So there's certainly a lot of that out there. I've been doing this almost 10 years as Contractor Dynamics. You've been, I think, like 40 years or something like that with all your businesses. I love to try to, extract some of those common denominators of successful companies that you've interacted with over the years. You could probably write a book on this. Maybe you already have. I don't know.
We're doing it right now. We're doing it right now, actually. So we have a couple. I have one already, but we're doing another one. Exactly.
Yeah. But yeah, are there a few kind of like key elements to success that, there's no shortcuts or anything like that, but like, hey, of all the companies that we've worked with over the years, these companies really excel and they all do these, 2, 3, or 4 things.
I can help you with that for sure. I think one of the things we've identified is a value system. Like I said before, working to that higher purpose to get you say, well, why can't I get my employees to do something the way I want them to do it, or why are they like hurting kittens? You're trying to they create chaos or they create trouble when you're trying to get the culture to move a certain direction, right? And I would say that the culture either moves everything forward and squashes negativity, or the culture creates negativity. And that is something that the leader does control, though, truthfully. So you have to take responsibility as a leader to say, I have created this culture of either negativity where people have trying to squash everything I'm trying to do, or something that is there. So what I found is this in my vast amount of years of doing this is that the value system, which we happen to put a label of our own, which is trademarked, called Pure Motive Service. Pure Motive Service. So what is Pure Motive Service? Pure Motive Service, I would say, is like the knife that cuts through the fog of uncertain value when it comes to clients, right? Like they don't know, why is this guy better than this guy? Is this, so Pure Motive Service, where you got that displaying the motivation behind why you do everything for people, why the prices are higher than the competition, why I am going to look at the entire roof structure, not just the roofing itself on the outside, but the home structure, to make sure I look at the material, the drainage, everything that's happening here. I got to look at the whole thing. And there's a reason why, which is the pure motive reasons, right? So here are what I call pure motives. Number one is the quality and reliability of the work we perform, to make sure that we're doing it to make sure it's going to be permanent and customized. So people have a range of options for quality and reliability. I always make sure they have that. Number two, I believe in the safety and health of our clients, to make sure that we perform our service to safety and health is never negotiable. I'm always going to provide that. Number three is to anticipate the needs of people before they ask. So a customer is going to ask you, they're going to say, hey, right now I just need you to give me a price on the new roof shingles. That's all I want to get is the shingles, or I'm looking to just do downspouts or something like that. It's like they ask you for the minimum thing, but as professionals, we got to be saying, hey, I'm going to anticipate what's needed in the future. I can't just be putting shingles on some old roof that's going to rot out, and I got to look at the whole infrastructure. Even if they don't want me to look at that, I got to look at that, because that's good customer service. And a good service is providing solutions that nobody asked you for. You got to be better than what people asked you for. People asked you for just the one thing. I got to show you things that would be better that you didn't know about, right? So 95% of what you do is going to be better than people asked you for. Otherwise, you're going to be the same as everybody, right? And then I also believe that the solutions we create, number four, should be customized and relevant to every single person we're working with. So if I'm telling you we're going to redo that infrastructure of a substructure of a roof, I'm going to make sure that I'm telling you the reason I'm doing it is because your daughter is going to go to college, and I want to make sure that you have the money for that and not have to waste money on the entire rotten roof and do the roof twice. That's money we could have used for her education, and now we're wasting the money on shingles twice because we did the substructure. Somebody did it the wrong way, you know? And so I'm just going to make sure that we're going to anticipate that customized, relevant solution. And then finally, I believe in honesty, even when it's not popular. So I always say to people, listen, I know you asked me to do the job a certain way, but I'm going to show you a better way, even if you don't want to see it, because I just feel like I would be not doing my job as a professional to be a window to show you the possibilities of the best service, the best quality, reliability, and safety and health that your client could experience as a result of my service. And that's just, I say pure motives are not negotiable. It's like, and if you think about it, it sounds like a real simple phrase, like any one of those words you would say, I've heard them all before, right? That's nothing, I'm not saying anything new, but when we articulate those words at the key moment, that's the timing of the words is the key thing. Somebody says, do you have to go look inside the attic to make sure? Well, if we don't, I wouldn't be able to do the job right. So we'd have to stop the call. If you want to continue, I'd have to be able to look at inside that attic to make sure that we could do the job right. And so I do it because I want to make sure that you and your family have the best quality and reliability. When you put the money into this, I want to do it right. And so if you want me to do it wrong, you have to call a different guy. You want to do it right, I can continue. So one of the things we teach is that stop or continue moment, where that's a value system too. That's where the honesty comes into place, right? Like somebody says, I'm looking for a really good price on new roof or furnace or air conditioning or something they're looking for, right? A new garage door. I've seen people do that, right? I say, you looking for a good price? What do you mean by that? Well, I'm looking for a lowest price. And I said, well, we can stop the call right now then, because our company won't be the lowest price. I can help you find a guy on Craigslist or go to Home Depot and pick somebody up over there. But if you want me to get the job done the right way, where we get a permit and have to pass inspection and everything like that, then I can continue to get the job done. So that's pure motives. And the pure motives has been the thing that has set our company apart from other service sales training, is because we're not just talking about the science of pricing, how to connect with people, how do you communicate that pricing to people, the science of communication too. We do talk about that, but that stuff, if the motive is wrong, any science, I say science is stupid in a way because it doesn't know how people are going to use it. Like science electricity, you could use electricity to save people's lives on a human heart and lung machine, but you could use electricity as the science electricity to create an electric chair and execute people and be evil, and you could kill people with it if you wanted to, right? So gas could blow up things, or gas could heat and keep us warm and comfortable, right? So everything could be used in a certain way. That's why the motivation behind this is extremely important. And that's why the culture does get behind, why 12,000 people do get behind what I do, is because we've set ourselves apart, because it's not just how to sell people more stuff, it's how to let them see our motivation behind offering it. And that is the key difference that sets it apart. And so I would say that's one of the things that people do wrong. They get desperate to sell things, and then all of a sudden the motivation's wrong. The motivation is I can't make payroll, or the motivation is I can't pay my bills. And next thing you know, you're trying to now oversell things and push people into things. Truthfully, people would buy 5 times more if you just got out of the way and let them purchase instead of trying to sell it. Make sense?
No, that makes so much sense. I mean, we're a big fan of, not a big fan, we're a big practitioner of sharing our purpose and our core values with our team, with our market and our content. And that just helps to attract the right people to our team and the right clients and things like this. Like we have similar values, and here we are recording some content together. If we didn't have those similar values and similar motivations, like we wouldn't be doing this. Have you come across companies or leaders that are like, all right, Joe, I want help from you guys, but I just want to make money. All that stuff, like I don't really care about that stuff. Like I just want to, be more profitable or be able to upsell all my clients. Like, do those people eventually come around, or they go out of business, or like what's
Well, let's put it this way. Everybody learns. Like some people do things the wrong way. Here's one thing I can teach everybody, and this is for roofers to marketing experts like yourself, or even people who do what I do, is that the dynamic is wrong when your client is trying to tell you how to do your business. Make sense? Like somebody comes to me and says, Joe, I know that stuff you do, but forget the pure motive thing. Just show me how to make more money. And I just like, well, that is how you make more money. So I always say that when you're trying to tell me how to teach your team, it's like, then why? I'd say, why don't you just do that yourself if you know what you want me to do? I said, $100 million companies come to me and say, yeah, here's how we want you to do this. And I listened for a few 20, 30 seconds. I'm like, okay, well, is that it? Yeah, pretty much that's it. We want you to do it this way. And we're like, well, if you want to do it that way, we'd have to stop because then you're asking me to take responsibility for the way you want things done with my business. So it's not going to work. If like imagine somebody trying to tell you, here's how we want you to market our company. It's like, well, dude, why aren't you just marketing your company yourself then? Why am I here then? I'm here to add something to this equation. I always tell people this: if you let me do things my way, I can take 100% responsibility for everything I do. And I can tell you a simple truth about what I teach. It works every single time as long as you use 100% of what I teach. But if you use 50% of what you're going to do and 50% of what I'm going to do, don't blame my half because I know my shit works. You know what I'm saying? That's what I always tell people is that it's like, don't blame me because I know what I do works if you use 100% of it. So I always tell people, and truthfully, it doesn't bother me. I've already pre-made the decision before we start any conversation that if we use my service, I will be the one orchestrating it and directing that service the way it needs to be implemented because I know I've had a lot of experience doing it the wrong way and I know the result. And I can like Nostradamus predict the wrong way the results are gonna happen a certain way. And so we've had several clients where we decided to not participate, even though they were financially good deals, but I can't expose my team. I have over 26 people working for me, and I can't expose my team to people who are pulling us a different direction. We have one direction that goes to making contractors successful, called training, coaching, and accountability. Those are three services we provide, and with those three services, we know exactly how to do it. If you let us do it, it works every single time. When you want to try to do it your way, then do it your way. Don't do it my way. Do it it doesn't bother me at all if somebody wants to do it their own way. Make sense there, Joe? So I have any concern over it. And truthfully, I don't know what happens to those people when they decide to do it their own way. I hope hope it turns out good and they find a way that's similar to the way I do it. And there are people who are similar to what I do because there've been a lot of people who have taken the training and then gone on to start their own businesses doing this job that I do too. And it
right?
doesn't bother me. I think that's great. It's a compliment to me when they do that. So
Yeah, that's the abundance mindset. I mean, there's so many, there's more than enough contractors out there for all of us to work with and help. So I get that. And yeah, what you're talking about is like people coming in and telling you how to do your job. It's like you go to a nice steakhouse or fine dining restaurant, like you're not walking into the kitchen and telling the chef how to prepare your salmon or your steak, right? Like you would never do that. You go to that restaurant because they have a reputation for having the best food in town, and you're going to order and you're going to enjoy your food.
And there are some choices, like, in our way of doing it, there's premium, mid-range economy choices. It's just like when you get that steak, there's, you want a filet, you want a New York strip, and then you want a medium rare, you want it well done. So there are some choices, yet there's a boundary that every business has to have to say, okay, we're not going to boil the steak. Okay, we just can't put our name on that. Okay, so can you boil it for me? Well, yeah, maybe a different place you could do it, but here we just recommend grilling it like we normally do on flame with a flame. And so, yeah, if you tried to tell the steakhouse to boil it, they'd say, well, we're gonna have to stop that right there because it might not be safe. We're not sure if that's even safe for our clients. We're not sure what the outcome would be. We never did it that way before. We're not comfortable with that, so we can recommend you go buy a steak at the the grocery market and boil it yourself, you want to do it that way, it's fine with that. It
Right.
doesn't bother us. We got a bunch of people waiting to get in here actually, so it's fine with us
Right.
if you don't want to do it that way. So that makes sense there. So it's like it shouldn't bother the restaurant if somebody says to boil the steak and they're not going to do it. Yet there is that boundary. Like they will do some things, like different cuts of meat, the prime, aged, dry aged. So many different choices now in the steakhouse, right? Yet there's a boundary that says no, we're not going to serve Fruit Loops at the steakhouse. No, we don't do that. We don't have that. If
Right.
you want that, you have to go to the grocery store or whatever, something like that. So I think everybody's got to know what is. That's the tricky part, though, right? What is the boundary? Because sometimes you can create a boundary that's too strong, and now people have a hard time doing business with you too. You know.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. I mean, for us, and I have a specific instance of this. Like, it goes back to like we just rely on our core values, almost as like a member of our board of directors, which we don't really have a board of directors, but like your core values are like, all right, let's consult them to see what they say. We had a situation, was it earlier this week, I guess, where one of our newer clients, a smaller roofing company, is heading into, I think, probably his first winter here in the Northeast, where I am, and getting a little bit nervous, like, hey, am I comfortable continuing to spend this money on our marketing training program, on marketing going into the winter months? He was having some hesitations about that, and it's a real thing, right? It's you're not. There might be a couple months a year where you're not roofing. Totally get that. Totally empathetic to that. So as a team, we're kind of kicking around some ideas, like what we can do for this guy, and maybe some others who might have this kind of trepidation heading into the winter. And one of the things that we brought up is like, what about cutting his investment in us in half for a few months, like a winter kind of layaway deal, and we give him like the half of the version of our training. So that seemed like an okay idea at first, but then we're like, wait a minute, like that's going to do more harm than good for him, because it's not really going to serve him the best way we know possible. And number two, it can do harm for our brand, because he might go out there and say, well, I work with Contractor Dynamics and didn't really work, right? And he doesn't know all the nuances, but like we have to give someone like what we know is going to help them win, which is one of our core values. So I think that's applicable for any service business, right? There's always like, all right, well, if you lower the price, can you maybe do a little bit less, or can I get a deal if we knock this out or whatever? But as you kind of mentioned before, like you've got to provide a comprehensive solution to really serve that client, and not cut corners, even if they want you to. So I think that's huge.
Yeah, I think I've always said that if I could have lowered the price before, I would have done that. I would have done that to begin with, right? And so when somebody says again, can you cut? If I were to even think about that, and there is tempting to say, hey, let's try and keep them on some other plan that would keep them connected to us in a way. But that's more of a self-centered, a greedy motive. Let's just keep them paying some money to us to keep them on the board here. Truthfully, it's like if I can't give you I do have self-guided programs that we have. Like for instance, we have ones where our team does all the work with you, and that's like a substantial, like almost like we're an employee in the company, and it costs about the same amount. We have other ones that are self-guided, which are ridiculously little, and people can do self-guided if they want to. So we can always go down to that and let them choose that. There's still good material. It's just not anybody who's holding them accountable. The accountability part kind of fades away, and now you're accountable to yourself at that part. But one thing I always say, Joe, it's like there's like a economics lesson when it comes to a business, that when it comes to business like you and I are doing, I always say, and this is a good lesson anybody listening to this could really take on. Number one part of every company, the hierarchy of the company can get screwed up big time, meaning that there is different aspects of a company. There is the branding and marketing, there is the sales part of it, then there is the operation part, and then there is the financial part of it. Well, what happens in a lot of companies is the financial guy who's trying to pay the bills goes to the top of the list, and he starts saying, hey, we can't afford any of this stuff. And next thing you know, the marketing shuts down. We can't afford that sales training. The operation, hey, send some people home. We're not working anymore. Pretty soon you're down to a light bulb and the financial guy sitting in an office when the business is not a business anymore. You kind of let the financial, that's like the scorekeeper taking charge of a football game, a football team, right? The financial guy is a scorekeeper. He's at the bottom of the chain. So when he jumps to the top saying we can't pay for something, that is just, he should just be a flare gun or the scoreboard saying, hey, account is low. That's the score. Somebody needs to do something in marketing and sales to get going on this because we have no money to pay the bills. That's just an indicator, not a something that should block everything at that point. Or when the operations guy, like the guy who does like the guy who stores the roofing or who does the projects is like, hey, we can't take any more projects on. It's like, dude, we're going to sell more projects. We're just going to have to delay them at a different time frame. We're going to sell them. We're not going to stop selling. We're going to put the pressure on you to hire more people or develop more people, because without pressure in the organization, so the financial people should put pressure on sales and marketing. The operations should speak up when they can't do a project at the speed we're selling them, which indicates a problem that needs a solution. Our recruiting and hiring or training solutions need to be upgraded. Our finance guy can't pay the bills. Well, the marketing and sales need to improve. It's not that we need to shut things down, because I do have a truth about that. You can never cut back your way to success. When you have overhead and you have a company the way it's designed, nobody ever bought something for their company that wasn't needed. So when you got it, you got it. That's your overhead. It's not going any lower. It will never go lower. Whatever it takes to run this thing, phones, marketing, building, trucks, fuel, insurance, it's all at its at or going higher. It's not going to go lower. So the reason for my business, and in for yours too, is to make sure that we can create higher value as the prices raise. So we can keep the company up to par as the prices are increasing on all the overhead needs, and the prices of materials and even human labor shortages are occurring. Well, isn't it ridiculous that all the things that are happening cost more money, but contractors are attempted to lower the price? It doesn't make any sense. So you have to increase your prices constantly. If you had 8 price increases last year, you should have had 8 moments where we need to upgrade our value in some way to offset that thing. And one of the best ways to increase the value is just by the way you communicate the value of your services. There was a time when we didn't have to do it; just the brand name would do it. If you're in a small town and you have the biggest brand name, well, maybe you don't have to do it. But those days are fading away, because when you get Google and other people in this business bringing other smaller people into it who look bigger now, you're going to have to compete on a higher level. Make sense? So marketing, sales, operation, and finance. Operation and finance serve at the pleasure of the salespeople. Salespeople aren't an interruption to the job. They're the reason for the job. We wouldn't even have a job if it wasn't for those people, right? And so most roofing companies and HVAC and all the other companies, they look at salespeople as like, oh, it's just a sales guy. Truthfully, that's the guy who feeds all these families. Without him selling things, and the marketing people making the promise that the sales guy's got to uphold, none of it works.
I love that. I love the way that you said create higher value by the way you communicate. One of the ways that we look at that is create the perceived value without adding to the cost of delivering that value. So, I mean, that would be that example. The way you communicate, the words you use, the training that you have that you can deploy. That's excellent. Like things are going up in cost. Like we have to raise our prices, right? Not to gouge, but like to be profitable in order to serve our clients the way they need to be served and to provide for our people. Like that's irresponsible if we're just having that knee-jerk reaction of saying, all right, well, people are hesitating a little bit more. Maybe I should lower prices. Like that's such a knee-jerk reaction. I'm sure that's something that you see quite a bit, right?
Well, it is, and I can tell you, I'll give you some free content right now, everybody. Here's what you can do right now to create higher value. How about this? If you just cut the whole podcast down to this right here, you'd probably be worth the entire time you spent listening to it so far, right? Number one, you have to commit to saying, I'm always going to diagnose the entire system of whatever it is I'm working on. If you're an accountant, somebody says, hey, I just want to get my taxes done. I'm going to say, well, we're going to look at all your financials to see if those taxes are authentic and real. We're going to do that. If I'm a roofer, I'm going to say, well, I'm going to look at everything. I'm going to look at the way the water drains, the way the positioning of what's the right material, what's the right application, what's the right design we should have for this type of a home. We're going to make sure the home can support the kind of roof we're going to do. Make sure that's even going to do there. So diagnose the whole system, diagnose the people, so you know who you're dealing with, who is the one requesting the service in the family, what did they say, what was the conversation like, and then what's the impact that the current situation is having on your family right now. If there's no impact on the family, there's no reason for the solution. So I tell people that there's always a reason, because nobody would ever call a roofer or a heating guy or a plumber if they didn't have a problem. Unfortunately, consumers are not good at telling us their problems. They just say, yeah, things are going good right now. We're just getting an estimate on a new roof. Like, there's no reason for one. Well, I can tell you right now, guys, I've never sat around on a Saturday saying, you know what we should do? Get a roofing estimate when we don't need one. Never had, I've never said to anybody, I've never said, Julie, what we should do. My wife has, what we should do, just get a new roof. And it's like, Joe, we just bought the house. Why would we need? I don't know. It just came over me. I was overwhelmed with this thing. So nobody ever wants to get a roofing estimate or a furnace or AC estimate unless something doesn't work with the current one. There's got to be a problem there, right? So, and here's the biggest thing. Let's get to the point. Number one, when you create options, there's a science of pricing, and the pricing is that instead of giving one price, which puts all the pressure on that one item, making value on one thing, you should give not good, better, and best, which is old kind of Sears Roebuck methodology. Start with the cheap one, get your foot in the door, and then increase it during the job. That's some nasty stuff. That's the way old plumbers used to do it. Hey, drain. Oh, look at the drain cable stuck in the drain. Now you got to pay to dig it up, and so now they get the foot in the door. That's not good. I don't think anybody feels good about coming back to somebody to ask for more. What it should be
Yeah.
is premium, mid-range, and economy choices, so that 74% of people are going to buy something in the middle. If you offer something that's got better service, better quality, commercial grade quality for residential people, if you're going to do that, or industrial grade for commercial people, quality and the premium option with the best service and warranty. The mid-range would be really professional stuff, and the bottom option is just the minimum we could do and still have our name on it in a way. Does it make sense? So if you did that alone, you would be making value because you've taken the time to show me the entire marketplace at one time. So that doesn't take any more time because you've already known. Once you create templates on how to do that, then it's like, well, here's how we do things. We give you the premium, mid-range, economy way, and it's your choice to choose the one you want. And they're going to say, how come the other roofing companies didn't do that? And I'm going to say, I don't know. They just didn't know about this or didn't care. I'm not sure which one it is, but here's how we do it. And then that's the way it is. So number one, that. Number two, you can personalize that top option to let people know why is it good for every single person in your family, because you got to know the family to make sure they know that I did this for the word because. So write that word down. The word because is an instant benefit generator when you communicate to people. When I say I went ahead and did the underlayment of the roof with extra heavy duty, plywood or whatever it is you're using, or a board that is going to be resistant to moisture resistant underlayment. I did that because we're in a very humid climate, and you have a young family, and I want to make sure you have that money that's there. Instead of buying a new roof in 10 years, I want to make sure that this is going to last for 30 years, so that by the time your daughter graduates, this house will still have value, and you guys can retire, and your daughter will have graduate from college, and you guys won't spend the extra money on roofing again. You're just doing it for doing it the one time, right? So you have to have that personalized, customized touch that we can learn about people, which a lot of guys probably do learn about people. They just don't use it in their presentation. The presentation should feature your client as the star, not the roofing material. Let's put it that way. Nobody ever said, oh yeah, I'm going to buy this job because you put that 3/4 inch plywood in or something like that. They're going to say, because everybody could do that, right? But it's going to see
Right.
what's in your heart as to why we're doing it. That's what the other guy can't duplicate, right? And then number three, the third thing is give the service of affordability by making sure that a bridge loan is the number one primary way we ask for business. Instead of saying, this roof's going to cost $42,000, it should say this is going to be $797 a month with a very low interest rate. We did that for you because we didn't think you'd anticipate this expense. Therefore, we did it on a monthly basis where you can give you the job and give you the money interest free, and then you can pay us back on a monthly basis to our bridge loan sister company. And then by the time you pay it off, you're saving enough money on wasted repairs, repairs that are internal to the house, and biological growth that grows from the moisture that's dripping through the ceiling. Save money on all that stuff, and that money will help pay for the entire monthly payment we're going to ask you for. So in a way, you're doing the bridge loan, which is the service of affordability, so people can afford the projects we sell. Make sense there?
Yeah, absolutely. I can tell. I can hear the language coming out that you're just naturally. It's just natural the way you speak. This is awesome.
The word financing's dead. The word bridge loan is in. That's the words we use now. Bridge loan is out. Bridge loan is the way we do it. What's a bridge loan? It's the bridge between getting the roof installed now and being able to afford it 7 years from now. We can do it now that way. It makes sense. We give you the money and we give you the roof. That's how we do it. Makes sense? Like, how do you do that? Well, it's through our special bridge loan. We do it all like that. So instead of saying financing to sum all that up, see, the word financing isn't good enough to create value. It sounds like a hassle, actually. You know?
That is so true. I've never thought about that before until now, but financing, it seems like, brings back memories of like sitting in the finance office when you're buying a car or something like that. You're getting screwed somehow, just not sure how yet,
Right?
applying for a mortgage for a house, like all the stack of paperwork, like, man, that makes so much sense.
What a hassle.
Wow.
It is.
Yeah. So I got to start to wind down, unfortunately, but I definitely want to do a part two, Joe, because this is gold. I just have another meeting coming up, but I don't know if you can quickly summarize this. But before you mentioned training, coaching, and accountability, I love those three words, those three concepts. Can you talk about those and how how you guys do those, or why every company needs those three elements?
Sure. The way we're different is that we have obviously e-learning videos and things like that, which can be self-guided, but we also have a concierge guided program, which basically you check in with a coach, you role play through you do the videos and you role play these exercises as if you were in somebody's home or business, and you graduate and get onboarded and graduate. So onboarding is part of training, and then training continues to master the subjects as you go forward. So we do that every week. We have East Coast, West Coast, Central Time Zone. We have over 18 meetings a week for different office staff, field staff, and leadership. So everybody gets oriented and onboarded training. Then we have weekly training after that. We have daily help called I Care, which is an hour twice a day. We do 2 hours a day where our coaches just are there on an on-call basis, as needed basis. And then we have a ton of content that people can just go on like a magazine and just we have over 3,200 videos and contents that we've established over the years. Salespeople interviews and things like this. We were doing podcasts before it was called a podcast. We have we have things like that. So so if you go to Service MVP, it is a ridiculously low price to get started on self-guided, which is only like $50 a month or $35 a month if you buy the whole year. So I mean, it's very little to get started. Or just go on my YouTube channel or go on my Facebook page, and you'll see a bunch of stuff on TikTok and everything else I do. So that stuff is all free, of course. You can all try that out. But I'm here to create a relationship with you and your team, and that through that relationship, help you guys help everybody here listening get to the next level. That's my job.
Wow, that's awesome, Joe. Appreciate that. And the accountability, what does that mean to you, and why is that so important for leaders, for companies? Accountability is absolutely huge in my book.
Well, we're teaching a thing in our leadership program called call by call management. There is going to come a time in all you roofing people's careers where in the future, and it's happening right now at our companies, we have several companies that have 5 or 8 times their revenue over the last. I have to put it this way, Joe. We had an event last year called True Grit. We had 7 contractors that we started out as startups, and in 4 years they were at $40 million in 4 years. Seven guys who made it from 0 to 40 million in 4 years, and the reason they did it was because they did this thing we call by call management. So instead of letting salespeople or people go out into the field and free range with your customers, somebody is watching as they are presenting stuff, and to make sure that the presentation goes good, and somebody can step in and help them. So there's going to come a time where the management of companies will be now not waiting for tomorrow to try to correct problems that were happening, but correcting them in real time. And that is one of the biggest differences that is happening in the modern era. to make sure we eliminate the possibility of doing things wrong while it's happening, as opposed to waiting for the end of the call or wait till tomorrow type of thing, right? And so accountability means that I have a saying, free ranging is good for chickens, but it's not good for sales professionals. Whether you're a service person or a salesperson in a house, you cannot let those people just communicate for you in silence without monitoring what we're communicating. Just like we wouldn't place advertising and put it in the third part. Like, imagine if I said, I'm going to hire some guy from Taiwan to just communicate for us without talking to us. Think about how awful that communication would be. Well, here we are having a salesperson communicating for us without really hearing what he's doing, and we're taking his word for it when he's out there, truthfully. And he might be good, he might be bad. But I tell you right now, as we all know, most salespeople need help, and they are not good. They do need help with their communication skills. Otherwise, we wouldn't have 12,000 people helping them, right? So, this is a service that management needs to offer to your team to communicate better. Not just putting the burden on your team, but working as a team to make sure that we are communicating what that marketing and branding is promising to people, to make sure we're doing it in the same way, in the same sequence, to the right people at the right time. These are all the things that are needed to be done, and that is happening right now. There's never been a stronger time where we have more tools for accountability. It's just up to you contractors to start using those tools. That's the key thing.
I love that. I think people are at this point starting to write some ideas down, think of things that they can implement in their businesses to really level up and be more professional and be more successful, serve their clients better, serve their market better, and all those good things. So, man, I'm serious, Joe. I want to do a part two because there's so much. Obviously, you've got decades of experience and insight. And I really appreciate you coming on here and sharing with us. I'm excited to get this out to our audience. And yeah, we'll have to schedule that second time. So thanks again.
Thank you, Joseph, and thank you to all you roofing professionals who are listening to this. And definitely, if you need any help, just call us just go to servicemvp.com, and you can hit the contact form there if you want more information about our coaching services, or just get the self-guided. You're welcome to do that. Thank you so much, Joseph. It's an honor to be here.